Coming up on Take 30 News, learn about Mississippi State's resources for students struggling with mental health. Plus, we'll cover the sentencing of Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio. And we'll get an inside look at Mississippi State Theater's 60th year of entertaining. Your Take 30 News starts right now.
Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Olivia Beck. Hurricane Lee is stronger than ever and predicted to affect the central part of the United States all the way to the East Coast. Hurricane Lee is now a Category 5 storm, the strongest in the Atlantic since Hurricane Dorian in 2019. The National Hurricane Center reports Lee is sustaining winds of 165 miles per hour. It took just 24 hours for Lee to go from a Category 1 to a Category 5 hurricane. It is still too soon to know if Lee will have any impact on the U.S. mainland. It's now time for your first look at weather here in the Golden Triangle. For that, we're going to throw it over to Blake Joyner, our Campus Connect meteorologist. How's it looking over there, Blake?
Oh, it's looking good. Out in the Atlantic right now, again, we do have that Hurricane Lee. It went under rapid intensification last night. It was a Category 5 this morning, currently a Category 4, moving through the Atlantic west-northwesterly. Right now it's a Category 4, winds at 150 miles per hour. It's going to continue through the Atlantic above the West Antilles, Puerto Rico, Island of Hispaniola. But next week, middle of the week, it's going to go northward, hopefully missing the entire coast of the United States. Hopefully not missing anywhere, but it's going to go northward and hopefully weaken a lot as we get into next week.
As the Golden Triangle is fighting through near drought conditions, heat warnings, and burn bans, local farmers are concerned. This year, the state growers planted 380,000 acres of cotton. The U.S. Department of Agriculture estimated this month that 10% of the crop was poor or very poor and 8% excellent, with the rest in fair or good condition. The extremely hot temperature, however, is scorching the crops. A study conducted by First Street Foundation reports at this rate, Mississippi could experience a heat index of 125 over the next 30 years. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention recognized the entire month of September as National Suicide Prevention Month. Take 30's Kimia Borazjani has the story.
If you're feeling helpless, you're not alone. Suicide is an issue plaguing many throughout the nation.
Suicide is a persistent problem. It's the leading cause of death, I believe, in people 18 to 25 years old. And it's certainly one of the leading causes of preventable death throughout the lifespan.
The CDC reports suicide and suicidal behavior are influenced by negative conditions that impact every area of life. Dr. Michael Valentine is a professor for psychology of counseling. He says addressing these negative conditions and factors can help prevent suicide and suicide attempts.
The typical suicide crisis lasts 48 to 72 hours, and if we can get people trained to intervene and help a person during that critical time window, then we've got a chance to prevent what could be a tragic, untimely death.
Mississippi State has a ton of resources available to students, even one right in your hand.
Campus has the suicide hotline number on the back of our ID, which isn't really for the month. You can just look at that anytime throughout the year.
Student counseling services are located on the left side of Hawthorne Hall, and MSU students have access to the Tell Us hotline.
And this is a free service, or a service the university provides. We pay money for, so that students can connect with a counselor virtually if they need to.
MSU is set to host its annual suicide prevention backpack display September 18th on the drill field. For Take 30 News, I am Kimia Borazjani.
If you are struggling with suicidal thoughts or know anyone struggling, please call or text the suicide hotline at 988. Mississippi State University is still in mourning after the loss of a student bulldog this semester. Take 30's Caleb Ward talked to the experts about ways students can maintain good mental health during this time.
I've had my own struggles in my life with mental health and stuff.
The American College Health Association reports 77% of all college students will face mental health issues before graduation. I talked to Logan Meadows, who is a system of cares therapist here in Starkville.
I know that in 2021, when they did the census and everything, men have a higher statistic of dealing with mental health, and also they're less likely to talk about it.
On August 26, Mississippi State University PD answered the call for an unresponsive student on campus.
I just hate to see that, especially for like the parents. Just it's something that's real hard for a family to go through, and very hard. It made me sad. I didn't even know the person who they were.
Hayden Barnett says for him the best way to support someone you suspect is struggling with mental health is to lend an ear.
Very hard. And I also just like reminding people to check in on their friends and stuff like that, especially because I know especially as men, it's hard to open up to your friends about stuff like that. I just say always get help. Just find somebody somewhere, something, somehow, as long as it's healthy. Like obviously something healthy, whether it's a passion you have or something, just find ways to do it, because it does hurt people when stuff like this happens.
Leah Pennington is an MSU ambassador. She says she makes it her mission to let incoming students know about campus mental health resources.
I do feel like there are a lot of resources on campus. I know there's a lot of free counseling options on campus as well, and I know they added the mental health tab on campus, so I think there are a lot of resources out there for students to use.
Student counseling services are located here at Hawthorne Hall on the south side of campus. This is Caleb Ward for Tate 30 News.
If you need help, you can call the Community Counseling Services at 662-323-9318. And coming up, the Proud Boy Group's declared leader faces jail time, and the Secretary of State facilitates a surprise visit to Ukraine. We'll be right back.
What if you could be part of one of the top engineering schools in the nation without ever leaving the coast? Well, now you can. Mississippi State's collaboration with Mississippi Gulf Coast Community College allows you to earn core credits while pursuing a 4-year degree in mechanical or electrical engineering, all in the same location. And with classes taught by MSU professors, the world-renowned education you couldn't find anywhere else is now in your own backyard. To learn more about this great opportunity, visit us online.
To kick off our political block, we begin with the former leader of the far-right Proud Boys group receiving a 22-year prison sentence this week. This is the longest punishment handed down in a case stemming from the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. CNN's Sarah Murray reports.
More than 2 decades behind bars for the man U.S. District Judge Timothy Kelly called the ultimate leader behind the January 6th attack on the Capitol. In Tuesday's hearing, Kelly said former Proud Boys chairman Enrique Tarrio was motivated by revolutionary zeal. What happened that day did not honor the founders. It was the kind of thing they wrote the Constitution to prevent, the judge said. Before being sentenced for seditious conspiracy and other charges, Tarrio apologized for the, quote, pain and suffering that was caused. Quote, I am not a political zealot. Inflicting harm or changing the outcome of the election was not my goal. Tarrio also adding, I held myself morally above others, and this trial has shown me how wrong I was. Tarrio was not in D.C. on January 6th, having been arrested days before and ordered by a judge to leave the city for burning a D.C. church's Black Lives Matter banner and bringing high-capacity rifle magazines into the district the previous month. But the judge said even though Tarrio wasn't there, the Proud Boys leader, quote, had an outsized impact on the events of the day. During the months-long trial, prosecutors showed evidence that Tarrio was readying for a revolution and helped create a command structure within the Proud Boys in the run-up to the insurrection. Make no mistake, Tarrio told other Proud Boys on January 6th, we did this. During Tuesday's sentencing hearing, the prosecutor called Teirrah the leader of this conspiracy that targeted our entire system of government. Teirrah's attorney promising an appeal.
We respectfully disagree, but yet we respect it. There'll be a day and a time where an appeal will come, and we expect an appeal to come soon.
Several other members of the Proud Boys leadership were also found guilty of seditious conspiracy and sentenced last week, 2 of whom received 18 and 17 years behind bars. On a more solemn note, today marks 1 year since the death of Queen Elizabeth II. The longest-serving British monarch died on September 8, 2022 at the age of 96. Following her death, the entire UK celebrated her life and reign over several days, concluding with an elaborate funeral at Westminster Abbey. To mark the anniversary, her son, King Charles III, and other royals, including Prince Harry, honored her legacy with personal statements. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken making a surprise appearance in Kyiv this week as Ukraine's counteroffensive against Russian forces moves into its 4th month.
Secretary of State Antony Blinken arriving at the U.S. Embassy in Kyiv early Wednesday. His visit unannounced. His message very clear.
We will continue to stand with Ukraine so that it has what it needs to defend itself, to deal with the current Russian aggression, that it's prepared for the future.
The trip comes as Ukraine's counteroffensive against Russia enters its 4th month.
This is part of the administration's attempt to convince Republicans not to abandon Ukraine at a moment where I would argue this offensive is no longer grinding on, but actually breaking through.
Breaking through in villages like Rabatne on the southern front, where Ukrainian forces repelled Russian troops just days ago. Each victory short-lived, however. Hours before Secretary Blinken's arrival, a Russian missile hit a market in Ukraine's east, killing at least 17 people, one of the deadliest attacks in months.
We're announcing new assistance totaling more than $1 billion in this common effort. In total, we committed over $43 billion in security assistance since the beginning of the Russian aggression.
Depleted uranium munitions that can pierce armored plates like those on tanks are part of that package.
The United States is committed to empowering Ukraine to write its own future.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
While this latest visit was unannounced, it's the Secretary's 4th trip to the Ukrainian capital since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February of 2022. And coming up, Blake Joyner is in the studio to give you a weather preview heading into this weekend.
Performance at the highest level is the objective of every athlete. But what can athletes accomplish if they understood and responded to everything their bodies are telling them? Mississippi State University's Athlete Engineering program is designing and deploying groundbreaking advanced wearable technology that creatively collects millions of data points for researchers to analyze, predict performance, and improve body mechanics. Researchers in engineering, kinesiology, sociology, textiles, and more disciplines are working together to test and design new technology that leads to winning results. In addition to helping athletes reach their highest potential, this collaborative program is reducing injuries and protecting the health of competitors now and far into the future. Mississippi State University. Farming can be a tough way to make a living. Weather, pricing pressures, and unpredictable swings in demand can take a toll, not only on farmers' finances, but on their mental health, as well as that of family members and farm workers. That's why Mississippi State University is spearheading a program to train extension agents to detect the signs of depression, substance abuse, and other stress-related challenges. Everyone has a bad day, of course, but this holistic view of a farmer's circumstances enables MSU representatives to recognize the difference between routine struggles and deeper, more serious issues. It may be a tough conversation, but the sooner it gets started, the sooner farmers can get help to better manage stress and continue the important work of growing the products our world needs. Caring for farms and farmers. Mississippi State University.
Welcome back to Take 30 News. I'm here in the studio with Blake Joyner, our Campus Connect meteorologist for today, and he's going to give us a little insight into what it's going to look like for game day weekend.
That's right. It's an active day on the junction right now. People starting to set up their tailgate extravaganzas. It's really it was clear earlier this morning, but we had some clouds come in this afternoon as later on in the day we got up to 86 today, but right now it is 82. Clouds in the sky, feels like 82. Dew point at 61. Elsewhere in northeast Mississippi, pretty much hanging around those low to mid 80s. 83 over in Columbus, 82 down in Macon. And those dew points, it's hot outside, but it feels a little bit better than it has. 63 down in Macon. Last week we were up, the dew points were up in the 70s, so now we're down to 61. So you may notice if you're sitting in the shade, it looks a lot better, or it feels a lot better, not sweating quite as much. So we're still seeing those clouds, but however, it's going to clear through as we get into tonight. We'll get down to 66. It should be mostly clear. Very calm night. Wind out of the north at 5 miles per hour. Tomorrow, we're going to get back up into the mid 80s. Lots of sunshine. Should be a very pleasant day for tailgating and any outdoor activities. And that wind is going to be out of the north at 5 miles per hour. And for the game tomorrow night against Arizona, kickoff is at 6:30. We'll be at 82 degrees, very clear outside. Halftime temperature, we're going to drop down a little bit to 78. The drive home will be a very comfortable 72. And for the 7-day, lots of sunshine this weekend, possible PM showers on Tuesday, and lots of sunshine next week.
Thanks for that coverage, Blake. Up next, Caleb Ward will take you through this past week and upcoming weekend of Mississippi State sports. Stay with us.
Meeting the challenges of a changing world. It's a responsibility we take seriously at Mississippi State University. Today, our outstanding faculty are on the job with a passion that places them among the best in the business. We're launching new classroom models, investing in world-changing research, and providing a college experience that's second to none. Though things may look different, our sights have never been higher.
With every simple click, our world becomes more interconnected, open, and vulnerable. At Mississippi State University, we're targeting online criminals and training the next generation of cybersecurity experts. That's great news for the military, Fortune 500 companies, and local law enforcement agencies who depend on our graduates in the fight against malware attacks and other cyber threats. By imagining the attacks that could happen, our student-led teams are learning to stop the ones that will. It's part of a cutting-edge curriculum at one of only a few universities in the U.S. to hold every academic certification awarded by the National Security Agency. That's why, in an age where many of the biggest threats we face go unnoticed from behind a screen, it's good to know that Mississippi State is on the other side, protecting our online identity with every simple click.
Mississippi State Bulldogs kicked off their season with a 48-7 win over Southeastern Louisiana. The Zach Arnett era was underway as we saw the new explosive offense that Arnett said Leach had a part to play in it.
Give credit to Coach Leach here. You know, learning under him in the last 3 years, it was their job on offense to go out and score points. Your job on defense is to go out and not give up points, right? And that's your goal every single drive. Doesn't matter what the situation is, and it doesn't matter what scheme you're doing that in, right? I mean, that is the mentality.
Arnett didn't have to worry about defense as it was led by senior captain Bookie Watson.
I'm really glad he decided to come back for another year, right? We got some veterans on defense. We lost quite a few guys, but up front we got some veterans who decided to come back. That make it a little easier for me to sleep at night. But Bookie's a captain for a reason, right? He and Will were voted captains. I mean, that's not just by happenstance, right? Those guys they command the respect of any room they walk in our program, right? And they command the locker room. And
game film is crucial to Arnett.
Really criticize ourselves because we got a lot of improvement to do.
Tomorrow, Bulldogs host Arizona at 6:30 p.m. Kyle Ferry was named the SEC Freshman Player of the Week for his kicking performance in Mississippi State's season opener against Southeastern Louisiana Saturday. He went 2 for 2 on field goals and 6 for 6 on extra points. Ferry had the 2 longest kicks by an SEC kicker at 49 and 47 yards and is the first MSU true freshman to score the first points of the season since coach Chad Bumpus did it in 2009. The Mississippi State soccer team got an impressive victory over the Miami Hurricanes as Atina Martinez-Montoya rose to the occasion to bury a penalty kick in the back of the net that tied the score 1-1. Allie Perry also stepped up to the occasion, firing a shot in her opportunity on the free kick, which put the Bulldogs up 2-1 to win the match. The Bulldogs will play the University of Louisiana Monroe Warhawks on Sunday at 1 p.m. A wet start for the Starkville High Yellow Jackets as they battled in the rain in the significantly close game against the West Point Green Wave. Last Friday, both teams were tied at 28 at the end of the third quarter, but the Yellow Jackets separated themselves in the fourth, with the offense scoring 11 points and the defense holding the Green Wave to 0. Starkville High won the matchup 39-28. The Yellow Jackets hit the road and will face against the Meridian Wildcats tonight at 7 p.m. This is Caleb Ward with your Take 30 Sports Recap. Stick around, we will have more after the break.
As concern grows over the declining health of the world's oceans, veterinary students at Mississippi State are learning how to rescue and rehabilitate vulnerable marine animals. Through a unique partnership between the College of Veterinary Medicine and the Institute of Marine Mammal Studies in Gulfport, Mississippi, students are experiencing the chance of a lifetime. Real-time research of this fragile ecosystem prepares students for a future in providing care for sick and stranded dolphins, turtles, sea lions, and other marine species. At the same time, MSU's advanced diagnostic technology is helping innovate for solutions while improving treatment and outcomes. Not only are the waters of the Gulf Coast opening new worlds of discovery for Mississippi State veterinary students, they are much safer now, thanks to this game-changing partnership that's improving life for literally hundreds of aquatic animals.
Welcome back to Take 30 News. A crisis can happen at any moment, and that's why Mississippi State University is giving its students the tools to be prepared. Our Izzy Mecherle spent the day learning exactly what those tools are.
This fall, Mississippi State University is offering new resources and informative training sessions to students focused on handling crisis situations. Jimmy Methvin is the training coordinator. She says being aware of the different situations could change the initial outcomes.
Talking about the 3 Ds of bystander intervention are direct, distract, or delegate. Really focusing on that delegate and making sure that y'all know resources, that all members of fraternity and sorority life know their resources, because there are ways to intervene where the person doesn't have to get directly involved, but that they can make sure that they've let somebody know.
Bystander intervention training is just one part of this resource. Others include interactive seminars on mental health, suicide awareness, sexual misconduct, and when and how to report these crisis situations.
It actually gave examples of when to reach out for our friends when they can't do it themselves. And it also walked us through how to handle some kind of intimidating situations that college students do face but aren't ever really prepared for. It's definitely different from the other hard topic lectures I've gotten in high school and even here so far.
Despite Methvin's position being fairly new and the bystander intervention training only being halfway through its sequence,
there is already a peak in student interest. Methvin says regardless of if students utilize the resources, no MSU student will ever be alone as long as they are a Bulldog.
At Mississippi State, there's always somebody to talk to, and there's never a reason that anybody needs to suffer alone or in silence.
Reporting for Take 30 News, I'm Izzy Mecherle.
To learn more about all of the resources offered to Mississippi State students, visit www.studentsuccess.msstate.edu under the Campus Resources tab. Welcome back to your Take 30 News. This weekend, the Starkville Moncrief Community Pool is staying open a little longer for a great cause. From 9 a.m. to noon Saturday, the Oktibbeha County Humane Society is hosting its 13th annual dog paddle event, where mankind and man's best friend will come together for a puppy pool party. For more than a decade, they've kept the city pool open for one extra weekend after the pool closes at the end of the summer. Just for this event, the pool party also acts as a fundraiser, which typically raises between $5,000 and $10,000 each year for the Humane Society. So even if you don't own a dog, you can still go to the event in support of your local Humane Society. And that's all we've got for you guys tonight. We hope you enjoyed our show. We're really looking forward to game day weekend. What are you most excited for the game tomorrow?
That matchup between that Jane Delore and that Bulldog defense.
Oh yeah, for sure. We're no longer air raid, which I find quite interesting. I've been an air raid offense my whole time here, so we'll see how this whole defensive side of things go. What do you think?
I think the Dogs are going to attack like they did last year against Arizona, you know, with the home crowd, the cowbells. It's going to get them all hyped up, and I think they're going to have a lot of tackles and maybe about 5 sacks tomorrow is what I'm thinking.
Okay, that's a good prediction, I think. I think those cowbells definitely get people a little more riled up than they expect it to. Once you become a Mississippi State fan, those cowbells are everything to us. All right, well, I think that's all we have. You guys have a good night. Thanks for joining us.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and mute it.